Hey guys, Ben Martin here, Dave Calderon over at Nutrisport. Today we're going to talk about sleep. I haven't necessarily been sleeping very well, and I know that correlates with recovery. Under a lot of stress at work, having a hard time managing it, I don't want to be taking any sort of pharmaceuticals, that's for sure. I don't necessarily want to have a drink before bed either, or, Tylenol PM, that's not necessarily for me as well. Dave, what can I take that's going to help optimize my sleep?
How can I help you get to bed, get to sleep, without using, the glass of wine or the Tylenol or the, oh my gosh, the pharmaceutical. We're going to talk about natural approaches, guys, and, there's a lot of natural approaches that we can take to calm down at night, to maximize the quality of sleep, the recuperative type of sleep that we're getting, and sleep that's not going to necessarily carry on over into the next day. You're not going to feel hungover. These are things that are not going to create a dependency, which we obviously don't want. They're natural compounds that help to regulate certain things. So let's talk about some of the approaches from a natural standpoint to aid sleep. Valerian, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of valerian. What's the main function of valerian? It's going to kind of take the edge off a little bit. It's going to calm us down. It's a natural sedative. It makes you a little bit sleepy, makes you a little bit drowsy. And I think the first step toward getting to sleep is feeling calm and kind of drowsy so that you can get to sleep. So this is the first one that I think a lot of people have heard about, valerian. It's an herb that just sedates
And this
calms
one's
down.
primarily just before bed then.
Exactly. Yeah, all these things we want to take on an empty stomach, probably about 30 to 45 minutes before we go to sleep. Second compound that I think a lot of us have heard about too, melatonin. This is actually secreted from a little gland in the brain called the pineal gland. And what does it do? It regulates the sleep cycle, the black light cycle, the circadian rhythm. Sometimes if you wake up at 3 in the morning, you wake up at 4 in the morning, you're not necessarily getting, obviously, a complete full night's sleep. You're definitely not getting the duration of sleep that we would like. This is going to help you to stay asleep for longer duration because it's regulating, again, what? The light-dark cycle, the circadian rhythm.
You're definitely not going into a deep REM sleep if you're waking up in the middle of the night.
Precisely. Great point. It's not about quality or quantity of sleep, guys. It's about quality of sleep. Ben said it. We want to get into that stage of the sleep cycle where we're getting good, restful, recuperative, reparative sleep, and that's called stage 4 REM sleep. REM for rapid eye movement sleep. You're dreaming a lot during that stage of the sleep cycle, and that correlates with a better quality night's sleep, period. The better the sleep, the better the recovery. And that's a recurring theme in a lot of our videos, guys. We talk about recovery and how important recovery is. If we don't get a good night's sleep, we're not going to be able to recover. So how are we going to be able to perform at the level that we want to perform at the following day? Well, we're not. There's no way. So these guys are going to help with ultimately recovery, recuperation from the previous day, so we're prepared for the next day. Final ingredient or compound, if you will. This may look familiar, sound familiar. It's called 5-HTP. What does it stand for? What is it? 5-hydroxytryptophan. A lot of us, obviously on Thanksgiving, we eat turkey. What does turkey have in it? It has something called tryptophan in it. Tryptophan makes you sleepy, makes you drowsy. That's why after you eat, you usually go kind of crash on the couch while the football game's still going on. It's because of the tryptophan. What's actually taking place? Tryptophan is a compound, an amino, that actually gets converted into something called 5-HTP, 5-hydroxytryptophan. And ultimately, what does this convert into? Something called serotonin. Serotonin is what?
It supports a positive mood.
Exactly, yeah. Serotonin is essentially a neurotransmitter, guys. What's a neurotransmitter? It's a brain chemical that actually allows for better quality of mood, a heightened state of mood, better well-being. It controls anxiety. So if we have a better mood because we're actually improving our body's capability to make the all-important neurotransmitter or brain chemical serotonin, because we have more of the raw material to make that serotonin, we're going to control anxiety, we're going to have a better sense of well-being, not going to be as irritable, what have you, during the day, and that's going to allow us to calm, stay more even during the day, allowing us to get to sleep more easily at night.
Does that mean that it's also going to negatively impact cortisol levels as well, which I know hinders recovery immensely?
Great point. Cortisol, that's the stress-related hormone. And yeah, excellent point. Cortisol, what does it do? Well, it's something that doesn't allow us to recover. It actually breaks down muscle tissue as well because it's a fight or flight hormone, meaning whenever you're under stress, your body pumps out cortisol and your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for fuel, for energy, and we don't want to break down muscle tissue because that means a loss of metabolism, a loss of metabolically active tissue. Back to 5-HTP, this is going to control stress, like Ben mentioned. If we can control stress, well, shoot, recovery is going to be more efficient, and again, that's the most important thing as far as being able to recuperate from the previous day, preparing us for the next day. So this is another important compound, I think, that's going to help us to control mood, improve mood, naturally, period. These are all natural compounds that don't have or create any type of dependency. There's no negative, hangover or grogginess the next day, which is really important too. You don't want to get a good night's sleep and then feel like, crap the next day because you're all hungover or groggy. It's kind of defeating the purpose. Not going to take place with any of these guys. Dosage. Let's talk a little bit about dosage. How do they take these things? Valerian, typically, guys, each capsule comes in 500 milligram dosages. I recommend 5 to 1000 milligrams per evening. Start with 500, which is going to be a single cap. When should they take it?
In the evening before bed.
Exactly, right before bed. Empty stomach. Melatonin. There's two ways we can take melatonin, or two forms of melatonin. You want to kind of break that down for them, Ben?
One is typically a capsule in which we just simply ingest, and another way is sublingually, where we place it under the tongue and we allow it to slowly absorb, which I think is actually a more effective delivery method.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Remember, absorption of anything is what we're targeting, most concerned with, and if we take something sublingually, as Ben mentioned, under, lingual, the tongue, so underneath the tongue, we're going to get beautiful absorption, immediate absorption directly into the bloodstream, and that means ultimately a better effect. So I prefer a lozenge. I know Ben probably prefers a lozenge. We recommend a lozenge, but there's some people that would still rather go with the capsule. That's fine. They don't like the taste of the lozenge. That's fine. Just keep in mind it's going to take a little bit longer for you to feel the effect of the melatonin. Lastly, the 5-HTP. Minimum dose is usually about 50 milligrams. Personally, I take 5-HTP. I take usually about 100 milligrams right before bed in concert with these two guys. So I'll take one capsule, which is equivalent to 100 milligrams. We have 5-HTP that comes in 50 milligram capsules as well. But we would take one cap of 5-HTP, 50 to 100 mgs. You probably start off with 50. Valerian root, 500 milligrams is the minimum dosage. And then melatonin, lastly, in capsule or lozenge form, 3 mgs is usually the upper limit dosage that I would recommend. They come in 5 milligram dosages, but I don't necessarily think we need that much melatonin. I think 3 mgs is going to be ample. So that kind of wraps up dosage. Remember, guys, get your sleep, maximize recovery, maximize performance, and shoot progress in and out of the gym, and take your natural compounds right before you go to bed on an empty stomach. Any questions, any comments, just let us know, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.